Hi, and welcome to part 2 of my menu planning series. If you missed part 1, I'll put the link in the description box so you can check that out. Today, I'm going to give you some more tips and tricks of how I do my menu planning. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in this video are different ways that I have menu planned in the past. I've been married for 6.5 years and menu planning for that amount of time. So I just kind of rotate doing different things. Sometimes I find I get stuck in a rut, I lose creativity, run out of ideas, and so for me, I find the best thing is to just kind of switch up things, just to kind of give me a fresh start and just get some new ideas. So if you're struggling with, just the same thing over and over, trying to figure it out, I suggest that you just kind of switch it up and do different things and figure out what works for you and different things like that. So what I'm currently doing right now at this moment is I plan for 2 weeks at a time. My husband gets paid every 2 weeks, so I just write out a menu plan of 2 weeks and I do my grocery shopping, and that's what I've been doing for quite a while now, and it's been working great for me. In the past, I've also done monthly planning. Now that's a little bit more challenging because you have to come up with 30 meals or so at a time. Sometimes I find it hard enough to come up with 2 weeks worth of meals. So to come up with 4 weeks worth of meals sometimes can be challenging, but it's really nice because once you have that whole month done, you're done for the whole month. You don't have to try to think of meals every week or every 2 weeks or however often you're gonna do it. It's already done right there for you. One less thing that you have to worry about. Another way that I have done in the past is weekly planning. This is really great if you feel like you're having the same things over and over and over, or similar dishes. But if you're doing it weekly, you're not going to have right in front of you what you just had last week. So it's going to be kind of like a fresh start, and you can be a little bit more creative that way, I think anyways. Another way to meal plan is to just come up with a list of, how many of our meals, and don't assign it to a specific night. Whatever you feel like making that night, make it that night. And the nice thing about that is if you just had something similar the night before or a couple nights before, and you feel like having it again that night, then great. You're not seeing it on paper and seeing, oh look, we're having so much of the same thing, or so it's kind of nice to be able to do it that way. So when I was pregnant, that's actually the way that I meal planned, because with being pregnant, half the time food didn't even sound good. I didn't know from one day to the next what I was going to want to eat or feel like. So to have a list of things that you want to eat and just picking each night is really great sometimes to do that. The drawback to that is you have to plan in advance, because if you need to take something out of the freezer or do some prep work, you can't wait until the last minute, till dinner time, to say, oh, this is what we're gonna have. So just keep that in mind if you choose to meal plan that way, just to give yourself enough time to be able to prepare for that. Sometimes it's challenging for me to actually come up with meals. I sometimes am not very creative and we have a lot of the same things over and over. So I have a few tips for you to try to help make meal planning easier and coming up with meals. So some of the things that I do to make it easier for me is I stick with a theme night. I know a lot of people do like Meatless Mondays, Taco Tuesdays, or those sort of things. So try to figure out what would work for you and come up with a theme for either each night or some nights, just to kind of help make it a little easier for you. So what I do and have been doing for quite a while now is Mondays are spaghetti. I just usually write down spaghetti on my menu, and sometimes we'll do lasagna, sometimes it'll be actual spaghetti. I buy different pastas, different sauces, different meats. So it's not like we're having the same thing over and over. We kind of are, but in a way it's not that way, so it's a little bit different. Tuesdays I usually do a Mexican dish, so sometimes we'll do enchiladas, sometimes we'll do tacos, burritos, taco salad. Sometimes I'll do different meats, like we'll do chicken fajitas, or we'll do beef fajitas, or chicken burritos, or beef, or just change it up so that way even though you're having the same thing each week, it's a little bit different. Wednesdays, since it's winter, we're doing soups. So I just sit down and I find a soup recipe that I want to do for that week. Usually Fridays, well, sometimes we do pizza every Friday, but sometimes that gets to be a little much. So every other Friday is usually when we're doing pizza now. Sundays, I try to do something in the crock pot or something quick and easy that we can do when we get home from church. So if you stick to a theme or different things like that, or if you one night a week you want to do a new recipe, Something like that will help you when you sit down to plan your meals. You can just say, oh, Tuesday or whatever day is Mexican night, I'll just come up with different Mexican dishes for, you know, the whole month or the 2 weeks or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Or if you're doing a new recipe night, you can look at all your new recipes and try to figure out which one, or you can do a meat theme, you know, Tuesdays are, you know, chicken days and Wednesdays are beef, and that way it'll help you be able to figure out what you want to do for each night. I find that is just really helpful for me, just to be able to come up with meals easier, because sometimes I'm not creative and I just sit down to do my menu planning and I just can't think of what to make. So having those theme nights assigned to different nights just makes it so much easier for me. So if you're really having trouble being creative and trying to come up with different recipes and you feel like you're having the same thing over and over, that's okay. Just try to switch up, like we do with our spaghetti, the meats or the sauces. So for pizza, switch up your toppings each time you make it. Another thing to switch up to help kind of make the meal seem a little bit different is your side dishes. I like to rotate between potatoes and chicken. If you have a lot of grilled chicken like we do in the summer, sometimes I do it with roasted potatoes, sometimes I do it with baked potatoes, sometimes I do it with potato wedges, sometimes I'll do it with rice and just cook the rice different ways, like more like a rice pilaf or like a Spanish rice, or, you know, so try to be creative with the side dishes. With vegetables, try to think of different side dishes or different ways to cook the vegetables, and that'll help you to be able to have the same thing or similar dishes more often, but it doesn't feel like it because you're switching up the side dishes, so it doesn't seem like you're having it the same every time. Don't feel like you have to get the whole meal planned for every night. I honestly just do my main dish each night. I don't even write in my side dishes most of the time for what we're having each night, because sometimes it's hard enough to come up with the main dishes, let alone trying to figure out all the sides. So pretty much most of the time I just write my main dishes, and then whatever I feel like making that night for the sides, that's what I make. But you know, if you want to plan out the whole menu and that works for you, then great, but don't feel like you always have to. Do you want more cracker? Say cracker. Cracker. So for keeping track of your menus, first off, I have to show you this. Now, I made this probably when we first got married. My husband had some leftover plexiglass from a project that he was working on, so I just cut it down to size. And then I took Mod Podge and scrapbook paper and I Mod Podged it to the back. And then I bought some heavy duty magnets and just hot glued them to the corners. And I kept this on our refrigerator. We have a stainless steel refrigerator now, so it doesn't really, can't really go on there. But I use a dry erase marker on here. You can even use just a dry erase board, but this is just what I had on hand and I felt creative and crafty, and so I made it. So sometimes I'll just write a list like this. I'll just keep it upright, and then I can cross off what we're having that night, or I'll erase it if we don't end up having it, or, you know, it's just great to keep track of. I also would turn it sideways, and then I took a straight edge and marked across the middle and then down the sides here, and I had the boxes, and that helped me keep my 2-week menu plan. This has been great. Like I said, I'm not using it right now. I think it can probably go on the side of the refrigerator, but that is something to keep in mind if you want something quick and easy to be able to write down. You can make something, you can buy something. That's one way to keep track of it. Another way to keep track of your menu plan is to write them on 3x5 cards, and you can you save it, have your list to rotate through. That's something you can always do. Sometimes what I do is I have just a piece of paper, like a grocery list type paper from a notepad, and I'll just write it down just like that. Microsoft Excel is a really great way to keep track of your menu planning. I just go in and I find a calendar for the whole month, or you can do weekly or whatever, and just print it out. So this one here, I wrote it all in pencil, and I don't know if you can see the lines. I just wrote the date in the boxes. And this was actually from the month that Miles was born, back in December of 2014, because obviously I didn't know when he was going to be born, so I wanted to have the whole month all planned out. So that's one layout that I found on Excel that I like. And then this I just found recently from July 2013, and this is back when I had a lot of time on my hands and I was really creative. I did all the main dishes in blue, the side dishes in purple, and then the vegetables in green. And so I was looking through this and I was like, man, this looks pretty good. I think I might save this and use this. So you can see here I had Tuesdays as my pasta night dishes, and they're each different yet the same. And then the grilled chicken, I did different seasonings, and then the side dishes are all different. So that is another great way. If you have lots of time and you're creative, you can do something like that. So this is what I'm currently using right now to keep track of my menu planning. And I don't know if you can really see it very well, but this is my monthly and weekly planner, and I actually did a video on how I do my monthly and weekly planning, and I'll put that link in the description box so you can check that out. So I just write down in pencil what we're having each of the nights here. So this is what works for me right now. It's easiest for me because I can see it. It's always open here, and I have my to-do list of things that I need to do each day. And so I just keep this in pencil here, and it's just easiest for me to be able to see, and that's what works for me right now. So I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my menu planning series. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'll be talking about some ideas on how to save money while you meal plan. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. So thanks for watching.